The Gospel of Mark, we believe that Peter is the primary source that Mark is using as he's composing this gospel. And it's directed not to the Jewish people, it's directed to the Gentiles. It's kind of directed, and it seems like probably one of its first places of being represented and released in was in Rome. And so it's got a huge gap in the sense of Matthew's gospel and even Luke's gospel, because it doesn't give you all the Old Testament fulfillments of the prophetic words that when Jesus did this, he fulfilled what Isaiah said here, and all that goes through that. So we've been going through the first 8 chapters. We're almost through the end of chapter 8, and we finally got to where he's been building ever since verse 1 of Mark, chapter 1. The gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Okay, who's Jesus? For 8 chapters now, there's been revelation of who Jesus is, and everybody's watching how he teaches, and it's just like, whoa! You know, this guy just isn't spitting out information that somebody else said. He's just not repeating some ancient father. He speaks with authority. And when Jesus taught, the people were amazed. They'd never heard teaching like that before. It was like, who is this? This isn't the way the scribes and the Pharisees teach. The religious leaders of the day, this is a whole different way of presenting truth, because Jesus is the truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so Jesus speaks from himself, and as he does, it has a way of capturing everybody's attention. Now, as you've seen through the first 8 chapters now, the disciples are a little slow on picking up on who Jesus is. They're astonished, they're amazed. When he does something incredible, they just are aghast and don't know how to process it. They're constantly saying, who is this guy? What kind of man is this that the wind and the sea obey him? You know, who is he? The only ones that seems to know who he is the demons. The demonic realm knows exactly who he is, and we get that at the end of chapter 1. And as he goes into the synagogue, the demonized guy screams out, you know, I know who you are. You're the Holy One of God. And we find later, after he does deliverance at Peter's mother-in-law's house, he wouldn't let the demons speak because they knew who he was. And so in the spirit realm, everybody knows who Jesus is. In the natural realm, it's a revelation and it's a process of discovery. And as we go, the disciples are just amazed, because when Jesus calls them to himself, they come. And when Jesus tells them to come and follow me, they follow him. And as they go about from place to place, doing all the stuff that Jesus was doing, he's healing blind eyes. We just saw that. He's healing deaf ears and the speech impediment that often comes with that. So the deaf and mute, and we saw from Isaiah chapter 35 that those were prophetic scriptures, announcements that when the Messiah comes, this is what he's going to do. He's going to open up blind eyes and deaf ears. The lame will leap and walk. Wow. And the mute will speak. And so he continues to do all the things that he is. And they're coming and coming and coming. They're still not getting it. He feeds the 5,000. He feeds the 4,000. They have 12 baskets full of fragments. They have 7 baskets full of fragments. We have all this stuff. And somewhere Jesus is thinking, by now you should be getting a clue of who I am. This should be coming into focus. I think he had a special sense that with the feeding miracles, that it would really come in sharp contrast, and they would realize, wow, He knows how to multiply bread and fish. Amazing. But they still don't get it. And the last healing we have of the blind man, that Jesus takes out to the side and he heals his eyes. He spits, he lays hands on his eyes. He says, how's your sight? And he says, I see men walking like trees. This is the only place in all the Gospels where healing takes another step. Any other time when Jesus heals someone, boom, they're healed. But here, the full restoration of his sight isn't there. Matter of fact, it says his eyes open, he could see everything clearly, like a 3-stage boom, boom, boom. And then he had his whole sight. And it's like Mark has strategically placed that healing miracle right before our passage today. Because it's like the disciples, they have a clue that he's unique, that he's been sent by God, that he is probably a prophetic person, but they don't know exactly who he is. It's like their eyes are starting to see, but it's like they're seeing, and when they look, it's like trees walking. They're not seeing Jesus for who he truly is.